Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. It feels so good to be back. I was gone about a week and I had a fantastic time. Thank you to everybody who sent well wishes and wished me a happy vacation and all that good stuff. It was a mixture of work and play, and I'm a very routine-oriented person. So when I break the routine, which for me was doing a video every day, it feels very strange at first. I almost wanted to do a video while I was on vacation, but I stopped myself. I said, nope, I've got to get away. And now that I stopped doing videos, now I'm out of the routine. So now I'm like, oh, I don't want to do them anymore, So now I'm trying to get myself back into the routine. So today we're going to do a This Year in Perfume, which we last did 2004. So now we're going to do 2005. And I've got a whole bunch of different fragrances here. 2005 was a fantastic year from my collection. Niche, designer, I mean, you name it. There's some all-star fragrances in here, some of my favorites of all time. But I do want to talk about Scent of the Day. And when I was on vacation, just because it was easier for me to bring, Roja has those 7.5 ml travel atomizers. They come in this padded little, box. Do I have one here? No, they're all under lock and key. But I just brought some of those because they're easier. So I wore Majestic Oud, which I will talk about very soon. That's one I have not talked about yet. It was released in 2018, discontinued, of course. And I wore Roja's Haute Luxe a couple days, and then I wore the exclusive Parfum, which I talked about on the channel. The last two I talked about. Majestic Oud is the one I have not talked about, but I got to spend some time with it. So I'll be talking about that one very soon. But I want to do Scent of the Day because the last couple days have been something different. Yesterday, I wore this for only the second time. This is a decant I got from Moudessir, and it's called Creed's Orange Spice. Now, if you go to Parfumo or Fragrantica and type in Orange Spice, it'll say it came out in 1950, which I think we know by now is a lie. It's not true. These gray caps, though, Creed had these gray caps. This is Acier Aluminum, which is another one of the discontinued gray caps that I absolutely love. I thought about buying a backup bottle of this because you can see how much of it I've used, but the prices have just gone through the roof, astronomical. I don't want to spend that kind of money on a backup bottle of Acier Aluminum, although I love the scent. I did a full review. This is one of the first full reviews I did on my channel. So if you just type in Acier Aluminum Creed, you will see it pop up. And these gray caps denote EDT formulation of Creeds, which Creed does not do EDTs anymore. They only do eau de parfum. And so these EDTs all got discontinued. These were some of the best Creed scents. And Orange Spice falls into that list. If you like fragrances like Koros that have a little bit of an animalic vibe, you know how when Creed does something, they always make it very smooth, easy to wear. Imagine you took an animalic fragrance like Koros and gave it the Creed effect. This probably was created sometime in the 1970s, would be my guess, not the 1950s. But I don't know for sure. I know 1950 is a lie. If you read the book, The Ghost Perfumer, you will realize that Olivier Creed founded Creed in its current form, I think in 1960-ish or so. So there's no way this came out in 1950. That being said, it's still a good fragrance. These gray caps are getting harder and harder and harder to find. But if you like fragrances that, and I think even though there's no note of lavender listed, there is a little bit of this lavender vibe. So you get this orange, obviously Orange Spice. You get this mandarin orange thing going on with very classy bergamot and a big dose of clove. It's spicy. It feels like there's lavender, and then it feels like you get that Creed old school ambergris, which maybe even had some real ambergris in it back in the day. They're not using real ambergris anymore, I wouldn't think. They're probably using some ambroxan compound mixture to, salty ambroxan to make it seem like it's ambergris. Here it smells very natural. I wore it to work yesterday. It worked beautifully with a button-up shirt, and, you know, dress pants and all that good stuff. Fantastic fragrance, full bottle worthy, but they're just impossible to find, so I will live off of my decant for now. That's one you'll hear me talking about more very soon. My scent of the day today, let me do a fresh spray, because I absolutely love this. This is out of season, by the way. I'm wearing a perfume that probably would go much better in fall and winter, but I had to wear it. I got it in my last haul, and it was looking at me this morning, and I just had to wear it, and I'm absolutely loving it. So my scent of the day is Michael by the house of Michael Kors. Now, be very careful, because there was a re-release of this perfume. So first it said Michael, just like this. This is the original bottle. Then it said Michael Kors across the top, which is the first reformulation. Still fantastic. Either one of those that you can get is this fragrance. But then they re-released it, and it said Michael down the side, horizontal, up and down instead of vertical. That's a different fragrance. So it still says Michael, but it's a completely different fragrance. So be careful if you're looking for this. If you want this one, the woody, spicy tobacco, you have to get the one that says Michael across the top, or Michael Kors, but make sure the words are written this way and not up and down. That's my word of caution on this. But for a designer, this is 21 years ago this came out, 2001. And my God, I mean, this is what we lost in designer fragrances. This is a Harry Fremont creation, maybe my favorite Harry Fremont. I don't know, I'd have to do some digging. Harry Fremont also did Tuscan leather though, so maybe that's my favorite, because I do love Tuscan leather. But he's very underrated as a perfumer. And the way that the notes blend here is amazing. Today, this is a niche fragrance. This is a fragrance that if you put this in a Mason Francis Kirkjohn bottle, and instead of 125 mil, you sold this for 70 mil, you know, you could sell this for $350. No one would bat an eye. No one would bat an eye at $350 for 70 mil. So you get double the juice almost. And it has this beautiful like star anise, elemi, resinous thing going on with spices, cardamom and thyme, but it's this almost like this dry tobacco leaf, pipe tobacco thing going on that I absolutely love. I love tobacco fragrances. And then to top it off, you get a little bit of frankincense, a little bit of suede, and a little bit of plum and dried fruit. So you get this like swirling tobacco perfume, right? This would be amazing in the fall, amazing in the winter. I'm wearing it. It's 100 degrees out here in Texas, or it will be 100 degrees today. But it's just, I'm in air conditioned, so it's absolutely beautiful. But this is one that is highly underrated. Somehow it just got lost. I guess because the house of Michael Kors doesn't have a big following. They don't have, you know, people hyping their fragrances. You know, I talked about Creed. Creed gets a lot of hype. You know, they don't have that. They don't have anyone out there like me going, oh, Michael Kors. You know, no one cares about a Michael Kors release. It goes straight to the discount bins. And this is their first fragrance for men and their best, and probably the only one worth hunting down. So that's Michael by Michael Kors. And as you can see, the older bottles on the bottom actually say down below, a division of Parfums Givenchy. So you know it's being made by quality back then. I have no clue who's making their fragrances now. Probably not Givenchy anymore. But beautiful fragrance. I'm loving it. So glad I got a bottle at a great price. Thank you, Anuj. This one was a hit for me. And there's more hits to come, I'm sure. So let's start with a couple, I'm going to call them honorable mentions, because they were perfumes that came out earlier, but then got redone or re-released in 2005. So the first one we're going to talk about is this. This is Cerruti 1881 by the house of Cerruti. And Martin Gras was the perfumer. And this came out actually in the early 90s, 90 or 91, depending on who you listen to. And then 2005, it was re-released or reformulated. A new version came out. Some people say it smells bad in the 2005 version. Some people say you have to get the original. I have the newer version. This is actually distributed by Coty Prestige, which usually I stay away from. But I smelled this and I said, you know what? This is perfectly fine. This has this, look at the bottle, by the way. If you've ever seen like Creed's Royal Water, where it has that see-through, I might even have it here. Oh, I don't think I do. I think it's put away. But Creed's Royal Water and this share similarities to me. In fact, I'm even curious whether this was the blueprint for Creed's Royal Water. Now that I'm getting to know more and more and more fragrances, I'm seeing that Creed did a lot of copying over the years. And maybe not with their biggest hit like Aventus. Aventus was very original at the time, but some of their other fragrances, they did some serious copying. And I'm wondering if this was actually the blueprint for Royal Water, because it has a lot of similarities. There's this, blackcurrant and cypress, and you get this lovely juniper. And juniper is the star of Royal Water. I think the juniper is actually amped up in Royal Water. Here, you still get a little bit of it, but it's more toned down. You get more of the pine, sandalwood, oak moss, you know, stuff like that, cypress. But it's that fresh bergamot blackcurrant. This is a beautiful summer fragrance. Even though there's patchouli in it, it's a little bit old school, kind of walks that line. If you like 80s fragrances like I do, check out Cerruti 1881 for men, the original 90s, early 90s release, 2005 re-release. I say either one is fine. Some people will point you to the vintage. If you can afford it, if you can find it, it's getting harder and harder to find. You know, the problem is with these fresh fragrances is they're the most likely to turn on you. So if you get a vintage bottle, you know, if you get a vintage bottle of Millésime Imperiale or Silver Mountain Water or something like that, those fresh fragrances, they tend to turn the easiest because of the citruses, so just be careful. Next, we're going to do one of my favorite masculines of all time. This made top 25 in my top 100 countdown. I don't have the list right here, but I'm pretty sure it was top 25. And this is Guerlain Derby. Now, this is the re-release from 2005 that Thierry Vasser did in the bottle with the square wood around the outside. This is one of the original. It's not the original bottle. The original bottle was the Eagle bottle, which was codenamed Centurion. If you look at the original Derby bottle, you'll notice it almost looks like a Centurion's breastplate. And they ended up going with Derby. God. One of the best masculines of all time. I will do a comparison video one day before I finish this decant of the 2005 version. I'll do a side-by-side and we'll compare the original to the 2005 reform on a comparison video together. But I think what Thierry Vasser did, I don't know for sure, but you know, the original reminds me much more of Pour Homme, and which I wore just on Father's Day. It was my scent of the day, and I talked about it a little bit. It has this pimento, pepper, nutmeg, you know, leather thing going on with oak moss and sandalwood, which Pour Homme also has. God, so good. I love that DNA. Derby or Pour Homme are they're just boss scents, you know, they're just CEO, C-suite boss scents to me. This is the same thing. I mean, I get just as much joy out of wearing this, although it is a little bit different. The spices in the opening open a little bit different. He did a fantastic job of hiding the leather, because the leather is hidden in Derby. You have to kind of really search for it. It's there, but you have to really search for it. And Thierry Vasser did a fantastic job hiding the leather in the recreation of Derby from 2005. And what I think he used was this carnation note. The carnation in the new one feels very heavily amped up, which is an old school note. I love carnation, adore it. I wish more men's fragrances used it nowadays. I wish it wasn't out of style. And he hid the leather under this patchouli forest floor tincture-like smell. So if you ever heard my, you know, me talk about Guerlain's Heritage, it has this forest floor like, you know, almost like a tincture when you first spray. You get a little bit of that in the base of Derby, and he's hiding the leather underneath this forest soil carnation accord with the spices, but it just works beautifully. I mean, you know, what a fantastic recreation by Thierry Vasser. Full bottle worthy, absolutely. If I didn't have the old school, you know, the vintage, I would go for a, I would try and find a full bottle of even the new one in the wood recreation from 2005. Fantastic. So that is Derby. And then a couple other decants that I pulled out from 2005. One is an Andy Tower, and it's called Le Maroc Pour Elle. And this is a women's fragrance that came out in 2005. I think when the House of Andy Tower launched. It's this spicy oriental with Moroccan rose and jasmine, lavender, atlas cedar, and some balsams in the base. And he used lots of balsams, as we know. Coming up in the full bottle from 2005, I'm going to show you it's heavy oriental balsam-like fragrance. And this has some of that. So I will do, you know, this was sent to me by a very kind subscriber. I never would get to smell and experience this otherwise, so I'll do a first impression on Le Maroc Pour Elle. And even though it's targeted towards women, I think, again, a guy could easily wear this, so I will do a first impression of it. The lavender in the opening makes it very, you know, universal. It's like a pocket knife, you know, it does a lot of different things. And then the one that's more geared towards men, that is traditionally a proper, spicy, woody fougere, is MDCI's Invasion Barbare. And this, to me, is not full bottle worthy, although I like it. I have other fougères I enjoy wearing just as much. Stephanie Bacouche made this in 2005, of course. It wouldn't be on the list otherwise. But it has this violet leaf top note thing going on that, you know, has a bit of a leather jacket left in the garage-like smell. And there's ginger, cardamom, lavender, white musks, white thyme, bourbon vanilla in the base, and patchouli. And the vanilla in the base just makes it really rounded, really smooth. Sometimes I like my fougères to be sharp and bracing, you know. Fougere, you think about fern, you think about freshness, you think about maybe being freshly shaved with some aftershave on, you know. You don't get that here. You just get, I mean, there is a little bit of this shaving foam-like feel to it, but you just get something that's very rounded. There is no bracing, sharp opening. There's no sharp edges. It's very smooth. You know, it's like driving in a sports car versus driving in one of those luxury automobiles where you don't feel a single bump on the road. You don't feel the car shift at all. It just smoothly goes from second gear all the way to 8th gear, and you don't feel a thing. You know, it's just shifting in the background. That is Invasion Barbare, which some people say is the best fragrance ever. For me, it's good. I'm glad I had a decant, but if I was going to buy a full bottle of an MDCI, it would be Chiffre Palatin by far, hands down. That's my favorite MDCI, and we will leave it at that. So that is Invasion Barbare. Now, let's talk about some niche fragrances. We're going to do niche first, and then we're going to do designer, because designer made a major impact in 2005. Major impact. Some of the best designer, some of my favorite designer fragrances of all time are here in this list, a couple of them. But let's start with niche first. And the first one that we're going to talk about is a fragrance from the house of Bois 1920. There's 4 from this house. This is when this house launched as well, 2005, just like Andy Tower. And this is a fragrance called Sushi Imperiale. Sushi Imperiale, maybe one of the scariest names of any fragrance, but fear not. This does not smell like fish. The sushi reference is referring to the ginger, I think, because there's a lot of ginger in here. There's a lot of citruses. There's a lot of nutmeg and pepper and anise. And the anise in here, by the way, mixed with the cinnamon, will remind some people of opium Pour Homme. All right, not opium, the original for women, which I love even more than the Pour Homme, but it will remind you of a niche version of opium Pour Homme because it has that sweet and spicy thing going on. And there is beautiful sandalwood in the base, beautiful patchouli, beautiful vetiver, beautiful bourbon vanilla, beautiful tonka bean, stuff like that. But it's the anise and cinnamon combo with the citruses and the ginger that really make this fragrance what it is. Easy to wear anytime in the summer. It's beautiful. So with this house, by the way, I should mention something, because if you go to my buddy Rich Mitch's channel and look up Bois 1920, you will see he did a video on a issue that he had with the house where he actually purchased a EDT. Like all of mine are going to be in EDT form, you'll notice. And even though the box said EDT, the bottle that came was in EDP. And it wasn't the seller's fault because it was wrapped. You know, it was cellophane wrapped from the manufacturer. They're switching over to eau de parfums. And so all the new Bois 1920s are eau de parfum. They're not EDT. And some people say there's been some changes in the formula. Now, the brand says it's exactly the same. But, you know, I haven't done a side-by-side, so I can't speak for, I can't speak for myself. I'm just saying hearsay that if you want some of these older eau de toilettes from Bois 1920, it might be time to act now before they're gone. But Sushi Imperiale, if you like that anise note, it's very prominent here, along with cinnamon. This is one to check out. So all of these are still available for purchase except for one. One is discontinued. So next is going to be one of my favorite under-the-radar vetivers that nobody talks about. No one. Actually, maybe one person. I think I heard AC from Smells Good talk about this fragrance once, and that's it. No one else. This is a fragrance called Vetiver Ambrato. And Vetiver Ambrato does exactly what the name says. It's vetiver and it's amber. And spicy, woody, there's bergamot, there's geranium, there's artemisia, there's clove, there's beautiful lavender in this fragrance. But what you really get, even from the get-go, you know, when you first spray, you'll instantly pick up some benzoin. You're going to pick up some warmth of amber, some labdanum, and vanilla. And that vanilla is very reminiscent of the way vanilla is used in a fragrance like Shalimar. So imagine Shalimar with green galbanum and tobacco and vetiver, okay? And that vetiver mixes with the spices, the clove, the artemisia, the patchouli to create an amazing fragrance that no one talks about. But you have to like amber because from the very beginning, those base notes are coming up from the bottom and you're getting a lot of the warmth of the benzoin, amber, labdanum, vanilla, and even tobacco, right? So even though you get some of those top notes, the base notes are just so heavy that they can't help but kind of seeping up into the fragrance. So I'll talk more about Vetiver Ambrato sometime, but you can tell I love this fragrance. And, you know, just the only thing I would say is the eau de toilette is the one that you want to hunt down if you want to experience the same, you know, fragrance that I'm talking about here, basically. Okay, next on the list is one I have not had a chance to give a full wear to. If you watched my haul from Désert, you will know that this was part of it. And this is a fragrance called Bois 1920 Extrême. How about the color of that juice? Beautiful, right? Bois 1920 Extrême is the one that's discontinued of the bunch, unfortunately. But I do still see bottles floating around. So from the spray that I gave it before my vacation, I will tell you that this is a beautiful fragrance. I haven't given it a full wear, so I don't feel confident enough to really talk to you about it. But I will tell you that you do get lovely lavender, some sweaty clary sage, geranium, jasmine, vanilla, sandalwood, Brazilian tonka bean, and cedarwood. And some people compare it to fragrances like Davidoff's Zeno, something in that range. You know, the patchouli, there's no rose here, so you don't get that dark, dry, dusty rose that you get in Zeno, but still a fantastic fragrance from 2005, 1920 Extreme. Okay, next, the final Bois 1920, and then we're going to move on to another niche house. The gem of the Bois 1920 line, one of the best patchouli fragrances of all time, no one talks about. This is Real Patchouly. Wow. Real Patchouly is, it's this earthy, woody, dark, Italian-style patchouli with Indian sandalwood, frankincense. There's some crazy notes in the opening like Divana, which, you know, Bertrand Duchaufour uses Divana to perfection with frankincense. And that combination here of Divana, frankincense is here as well, and it works lovely. You also get this thyme, Texas cedar, mandarin orange, and celery in the opening, a celery note. But that goes away very quickly. You're not going to smell this and smell celery. In fact, most people probably wouldn't even pick it up. 9 times out of 10, I don't get it. But it's supposedly there. It's kind of like that carrot note in Leonard Pour Homme. So celery in the top, but it's all about the patchouli. There's patchouli in the heart and in the base. There's ambergris, benzoin, labdanum, musk. There's tobacco with vanilla. So you can see a little bit of a trend. There is tobacco in Vetiver Ambrato, and there's tobacco in Real Patchouly, and the tobacco just blends with the patchouli, the darker, you know, notes in the base like labdanum, vanilla, benzoin, to create one of the best patchouli fragrances. Literally one of the best. If you're a patchouli lover and you've never smelled Real Patchouly, I would highly urge you to try and find a bottle of the Eau de Toilette. Now, the Eau de Parfum may be perfectly fine, but again, it's the Eau de Toilette that I'm speaking about that I can vouch for. The new Eau de Parfums, by the way, are like completely clear. There's no color to the juice. And so maybe they just removed the colorants. I don't know. I don't know if the formula's changed. All I know is I love the Eau de Toilette, and I would not buy the Eau de Parfum based on what I know from the company. Okay, next. Next, we are going to go to the house of Lubin, which is an old niche house that was kind of revived. This is 2005. This version is discontinued. This is, again, another situation of a house doing an Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum. They put the Eau de Parfum in a completely new bottle, though, so this one's much easier to distinguish. So this is Idole de Lubin. Idole de Lubin. Now, this is I have a backup bottle that's completely sealed. And there's the box. Idole de Lubin. So you can see there is the box if you want to pause it and read about it. So this fragrance is a little bit of a... This fragrance is a little bit of a guilty pleasure for me, especially in the winter. Although I think the Eau de Toilette allows you to wear it any time. I could wear this now and it's 100 degrees. It might seem a little out of place, just like Michael seems probably a little out of place with the dry tobacco going on. But you could wear this. It's rum, bitter orange zest with saffron, black caraway, cottonwood, ebony, sugarcane. So if you know anything about me, you know I don't like sweet fragrances. This fragrance literally has sugarcane in it, okay? Literally has sugar, and I still love it. The base is leather and red sandalwood. And you can kind of see it has a little bit of a red tinge to it, but it's absolutely stunning. It's one of my favorite boozy fragrances. You know, if you want to wear a boozy, if I wanted to wear a boozy fragrance, I would wear something like this, or I would wear Roja's Creation E or Enigma or whatever it is, something like that, you know. But this is much easier to wear in weather that isn't cold. Roja's Enigma or Creation E has to be cold weather for me. But this is created by Olivier Jacobetti. It is discontinued in this version. The new one looks like the normal Idole de Lubin bottles, or I'm sorry, the normal Lubin bottles, which I'll just really quick show you. So the new bottles look like this. This is upper 10, but it's this one's a different fragrance, but this is what the new bottles look like. So you can see it. The new Idole de Lubin in Eau de Parfum will look like this. So this is the vintage bottle. Look at the difference in the detail of the cap. Look at the detail back then. I mean, this isn't even 20 years ago. Look what they went to. Boring. This is boring. This is freaking cool. I mean, you've got the shield on the back. I love this presentation. Love it. I wish they never would have went away from it. So if you're a lover of boozy fragrances, Idole de Lubin is one to put on the list in eau de toilette form. It's a little hard to find. I'm very glad I have a backup bottle, especially sealed. I know it'll keep, all that good stuff. But if you're a boozy fragrance lover, this is one that does not get talked about enough in eau de toilette form. Love it. If you like something like Bentley for Men Intense or something like that, you know, put this one on the to sniff list. Okay, 3 more niche fragrances, and then we'll get to the designers. So the first one of the final 3 from 2005 is a new discovery of mine. It is a fragrance from a house that I never gave it a chance, is what ended up happening. It's one of those houses that I kind of heard about, but for whatever reason, it just kind of got put on the back burner. And I never, you know, smelled any of their creations. I never gave it the time of day. And then when I did, my eyes just went, what did I do? You know, why didn't I try this earlier? And this is, I think this brand also was founded in 2005. 2005, you're starting to see the beginnings of like the modern, you know, what we consider as modern perfumery that we're living through today. I feel like it really started in 2005. You saw the creation of these niche houses, designers doing flankers, and, you know, this is the start of kind of what we're living through today. It wasn't as bad back then, obviously, as it is now. But you're starting to see the seeds plant. So another new house. This is from the house of Parfum d'Empire, and this is called Ambre Russe. What an amber. What an amber fragrance this is. My God. I mean, instantly shot to the top of my favorite ambers. You know, Ambre Sultan is probably my favorite from Serge Lutens, and this just went right underneath it. Just jumped every other amber you could think of. I love what they did with this because this has this boozy opening with champagne and vodka, and then this animalic ambergris and cumin with this very relaxing note of tea. Tea is a very relaxing note to me. And you get tea, you get cinnamon, but then underneath it all, there's leather, vanilla, and frankincense, okay? And that animalic ambergris kind of comes in, and it mixes with the cumin. In the first hour or so, you're just taken on this journey that'll make your head spin. This is the Extrait. No, I'm sorry. This is the Eau de Parfum. I think they also used to have an Extrait, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's all Eau de Parfum with Ambre Russe. But either way, it's a fantastic amber. One of the best ambers that I've ever smelled. One of my favorite ambers instantly. Another one is on the list. Coming up next, actually. But if you've never tried this house and you like animalic fragrances like I do, the way they do animalic fragrances is bar none. I mean, this guy, Marc-Antoine Corticciatto, what a nose. I mean, hidden gem. I know maybe in the fragrance community it's not a hidden gem. For most people, though, this would be a serious hidden gem. Okay, now one of the most famous niche fragrances of all time. Everyone knows this one. It kicked off Andy Tauer's brand. It turned his brand into a, not a household name, but a well-known name overnight because it was such a hit. Elle du Désert Marocain, also one of my favorite ambers. Some people say, you know, if you're going to go spicy amber, you either have to pick you have to pick this or Ambre Sultan. You can't like them both. I disagree. I like them both. I like Ambre Sultan more, but I really like this as well. I don't think this is a bad perfume. I think this is amazing stuff. Spicy oriental fragrance with cumin, and the note that really gets me here is the Cistus labdanum. The labdanum that Andy Tauer uses is out of this world. It's fantastic. You know, you get a little bit of a floral element here. You get a little bit of vetiver, cedarwood, ambergris in the base, and it's just amazing. Now, bad news is Andy Tauer is raising his prices. And so the rumor is that everything is going up. Not everything. There are certain fragrances that are going up as much as 40%, which is a big bump. And he said he just had to do it because of the materials. The price of materials is going up with inflation. So if you still see bottles of Elle du Désert Marocain, if you still see bottles of stuff like Au Cours du Désert, which I got this for like 180 bucks. What a steal. I was so glad I was able to find this at a good price. Au Cours du Désert. And then also my favorite Andy Tauer of all time, Lone Star Memories. If you see these at good prices and you're in the market, it might be worth grabbing it because prices are going up. Ugh, that's the rumor around the campfire. But we're talking about Elle du Désert Marocain, and this is an amazing amber. Fantastic for the cooler weather. You know, these two ambers from 2005 are two of the best ambers in my book. And then if you added Ambre Sultan to the list, you would have the amber trifecta. What more would you want, you know, for amber? To me. Although there is another amber fragrance coming up, but I don't like it as much as I like these two. So that is the second to last niche fragrance. And the final niche fragrance on the list, 2005. I think this is a Pierre Bourdon creation, but I'm not sure. Have you ever seen my Creed wallet, by the way? Oh, I dropped it. Oh, well, whatever. It's a Creed wallet. It was on top of the box, so I figured I'd grab it. This is original Santal. So the old Creed packaging obviously had the Creed logo all over, which I loved this packaging. I'm sad they took it away. This is batch code 16C01. This is a 2016 bottle. I would not go any newer if I was buying any Creed fragrances, to be honest with you. 2016, maybe 2017, cut off. This is original Santal, and in the 75 ml bottle, which is now discontinued. They only do 50 and 100. It's this woody, spicy fragrance with orange tree, absolute, ginger, lemon in the top, lavender, peppermint, rosemary, pink pepper in the heart, Mysore sandalwood, yeah, cedar, vanilla, benzoin, siam, ambergris, and musk in the base. And, you know, a lot of people say it's like a niche version of Pour Homme, which it kind of is. It's kind of a niche version of Pour Homme. Sometimes I prefer this even, believe it or not. This is the vintage, the Lancaster bottle. And so, you know, these two are two peas in a pod. If you love one, you may love the other. If you hate one, you'll probably even hate the other. I like it on occasion. This is something I usually wear once or twice a year, that's it. Usually in the cold. I find that in the colder weather, this does much better. If you try to wear this in the heat, either of these, you try to wear these in the heat, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna be punching people in the face with original Santal or Pour Homme. But I usually don't have the box, So I figured I would show you guys the Creed packaging, which I usually just keep the box up in the attic or something. But that's the final niche fragrance from 2005. And then, so let's go to some of these designers. So speaking of amber fragrances, this is a creation by Francis Kirkjohn, 2005. It is discontinued now. There's a rumor they're going to bring it back. What form will they bring it back in? Who knows? But there's probably not very much that would stop them from bringing this back in the same form because, but who knows with reformulations and all that stuff, how they go. This is Gaultier 2 by Jean-Paul Gaultier. And the reason it was called 2 is it was supposed to be a play on, you know, kind of like CK1, one for all. This is Gaultier 2. Both genders could wear it. Was the idea back then. And so it was completely unisex. 2005, Francis Kirkjohn. You actually got 2 bottles stapled back to back. So this is 120 ml. And you got 240 ml of juice when you bought one of these big bottles stapled together. These were magnets, and they would just plop the second bottle. You could take it apart, and you get the idea. So amber, musk, and vanilla. That's it. There's some people say there's a little bit of smokiness that comes out in the base. My wife thinks this smells like a vanilla cake. She kind of does. Very boring amber. You know, if you just want an easy to wear amber, I think it smells better on a woman personally, but I will wear it from time to time. And then one of the best cedar fragrances of all time. It has 4 types of cedar in it. Again, discontinued, fetching extremely expensive prices on the secondary market. This is Tumulte. Tumulte Pour Homme by Christian Lacroix. And it's this bay leaf, juniper, frankincense, and then 4 types of cedar in the base. Atlas cedar, Chinese cedar, Texas cedar, Virginia cedar. So if you're a cedar lover, if you love woody fragrances, it's a little bit spicy from the bay leaf and the frankincense, but it's basically like a spicy woody type fragrance. But I'll talk more about this too one day. You know, I'll wear it and we'll talk about it together. Now the big boys. So first of all, let's get one of the greatest designers of all time out of the way. This is L'Instant de Guerlain Extrême Pour Homme. Now, this is both the same bottle. This is not the EDT. This is the Extrême. You can see it because it says right there Eau de Parfum down below. But if you turn it over, it will actually say Eau Extrême. But the original bottle looked like this. It had this black line around the outside. But the juice is supposedly exactly the same in these two. But how about this presentation? Why did they stop this presentation? This is iconic. The smell is just amazing. Star anise, elemi, citruses with tea. I mentioned tea and Ambre Russe. What a relaxing note. And it does the same thing to me here. This just puts me in this very relaxed but professional mood. I mean, you could wear this to work, anywhere. It's unique. It has that cacao note, that chocolatey cacao with one of the best patchoulis you'll ever smell. These 2 fragrances here, Real Patchouly and L'Instant de Guerlain, if you're a patchouli lover, these are Hall of Fame patchoulis we're talking about here. And both of them came out in 2005. I would say with this fragrance, although I have the older bottles, do not spend $500 on a vintage bottle of L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme. I mean, you could, but I would say don't do it. Go buy the new Eau de Parfum. Just buy L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau de Parfum in the new bottle, and you'll be perfectly fine. In the Listerine bottle, I would say, though. Don't get the one that looks like the L'Omédial, because I haven't heard anything about that yet. And I heard some pretty bad things about the new Abbey Rouge in that bottle, or the new Abbey Rouge L'Instinct, or whatever it is. So get the Listerine-like bottles. Okay, the final two. Let's start with the one that copied the best fragrance from 2005, in my opinion, on the designer side. And that is Arpege Pour Homme. Now, this came out 6 months after the King. So when I show you the original bottle, the one that this copied, you'll see the, similarities in the cap. So the original one came out earlier in 2005. This came out at the end of 2005. And, but the key note here, the thing that set this off was the iris. Iris in men's perfumery was like, who would do that? That's a flower. That's a woman's note. And so you get this sweet, spicy, pink pepper, iris, jasmine, nutmeg. What they did here compared to the original, which I'll just show you, there's no hiding it. It's the original Dior Homme in the silver stem. One of the greatest designers of all time. It is a Olivier Polge masterpiece that Demachy, made flankers of and everything that he did. Demachy would not have probably lasted as long at Dior if it wasn't for Olivier Polge, creating Dior Homme and then allowing Demachy to then do flankers off of it. And it's iris, cacao. And remember, these two were competing against each other in 2005. These both came out the same year, the Guerlain and the Dior. And so it is lavender, which Olivier Polge loves using lavender. He did it with that Ferragamo F Black, and it works beautifully. With Patchouly, Tahitian vetiver, leather, cacao, amber, cardamom, but it's that iris, that beautiful makeup-y iris. Oh, this is so good. I just want to wear it now that I've smelled it. And so this came out first, and then this one came out. Look how close they are. See the similarities now? See the cap? See the cap? How it just looks like, it almost looks like almost identical to the Dior cap. So Dior had the stem, Arpege had the circle. Dior had the cap, and Arpege did exactly the same thing. It's in the cap itself that makes it look like you're putting that little final touch on. So you can tell this inspired Lanvin so much they just straight up copied them. And this is a good fragrance, though. Don't shoot this down because I say it's a copy. The vanilla is amped up compared to Dior Homme. This is the better fragrance, obviously, but this is still a good designer. If this came out today as a designer, this would be one of the best designers on the market. It's just, it's discontinued now, of course, but I still like this. But I love Dior Homme in the silver stem. Some people say, but it's not the good iris. It's the cheap iris, that Dior used it to create this. I don't care. I don't care what they use. Expensive, cheap iris. I don't care. I love what the overall blend creates in the silver stem Dior Homme. Even the 2011 version is amazing with the black stem. But if you can find a bottle of the silver stem, it's like, it's like looking at a painting up close and being able to see all the little lines. It's beautiful. Or listening to an orchestra and being able to hear all the different notes. Beautiful. And Olivier Polge knocked it out of the park here. It smells like a Chanel, honestly, is what it smells like. It smells like a Chanel. If this was in the Chanel private blend, no one would bat an eye. So anyways, that's 2005. We kept it under an hour. I didn't do any what happened, historical events or anything, but if you have stuff that happened in 2005 you want to talk about, put it in the comments. If you have favorite fragrances from 2005, put it in the comments. It's so good to be back. I appreciate all of the support everyone has given me. The kind words, people sending me decants, all the amazing stuff you guys do. I have the best subscribers out there. I hope to continue to grow. That means we need more subscribers, unfortunately, but I want to keep getting quality subscribers like I started with. So, you know, liking the videos, thumbs up, whatever it is, leaving a comment, subscribing, all of that helps the channel. But I also try and respond directly to every single comment. And so, you know, if you put a comment on my channel, you will get a response for the most part. Unless you're, you know, out of line or, you know, just being a jerk or something, I won't respond to those usually. But, you know, if you leave a real comment regarding the content we're talking about, you will get a response from me. So, cheers, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Year in Perfume, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.